So I believe missions is God's gift to the church to be messy.
Come on.
It's this perfect environment for you.
So right.
It's this perfect environment for you to say, we can mess up. Just be messy. Missions is messy, man.
People are messy.
It's unpredictable. It is the most, and the more perfect churches get, sometimes the more transactional their missions is, the more they gravitate to supporting organizations rather than people.
And projects.
And I think it's great to support organizations and projects. I'm not dissing those things.
Those are all good.
But those things should be a subset of a relational connection. So we're going to continue, Ross. We talked about worship, that everything's worship in your church. And you made a statement about even the life of Jesus. There was this fascinating study that was done. I think it was the founder of some large ministry did this study about if Jesus had his ministry today, would he be vestible? Would he be a credible ROI ministry to invest in today's culture and framework? So he did a study on both Jesus and Mother Teresa. And so he concluded that on today's predicated framework of raising support, Jesus could not raise support. And people go like, oh, that can't be true. No. Remember, we're looking at Jesus in retrospect. We're looking at the accomplished work of Christ. We're not talking about the accomplished work of Christ. We're talking about Jesus, the man, walking along the Sea of Galilee, calling a couple of fishermen and going through this process of saying, hey, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. And he's just controversial teacher walking around, performing miracles, doing stuff.
He was branded as a criminal at the end of his ministry.
He was a heretic, a criminal, everything in between. What he did was risky. It was out of the box. And would that be credible in today's society to raise money? And they made a overwhelming conclusion that no, Jesus would not be fundable in today's society. And one of the things I have found, and Britt and I talked about this, I have people that are wrestling with our own journey right now as an organization because we don't have everything figured out. Now we have 20, 30 years of missions experience, tons of relationships around the world. We do incredible stuff. And they're like, well, can you give me some metrics? Can you give me some real clear accomplishing things that you're about to accomplish? And I'm like, no, I can't. They're like, and they're short-circuiting. They're like, well, what's the ROI? And I'm like, I can't give you an ROI right now. I said, here's the issue. Most people today would say in retrospect, man, how great would it have been to invest in David Green when he was slamming frames together in the garage? How good, how amazing, what would my return on investment have been if I knew Steve Bezos when he was selling books out of his garage and I invested at that time? I mean, I would be a billionaire right now, right?
Or Steve Jobs.
Or Steve Jobs, or you can name all these companies, right? But most people don't want to apply that same principle to their giving in the realm of missions. They want ROI on the front end, but Britt and I came up with a term, and we say ROO, return on obedience. Do you at least pray and ask Jesus, God, is this something you want me to invest in? Even though I can't see what you're about to do. Because giving should be a faith journey too, right? I mean, even tithing is a faith step, right?
It's all faith.
Otherwise it's sin.
Otherwise it's sin. That's what the Bible says. Hebrews 11:6 says, and without faith it is impossible to please God. For those who come to him must believe that he exists, that he is who he says he is, and that he rewards
those who
diligently seek him. It's all faith. You can raise your kids in faith, or you can ruin them by trying to control them. You can give in the offering by faith, or you can give to get what you want done.
Which is not giving, it's spending.
It's spending, that's right. And so I love ROO. I think the Bible's full of ROO.
He included me in that, but that's his thing.
Yeah.
ROO, Riaan came up with that.
I love that.
Well, and I'll tell you why.
The Holy Spirit gave it to him, but you know what I mean. He was kind by saying Britt and I.
So after the local church, I got flung into the fundraising world. Worked for amazing organizations that do amazing things around the world.
Yep.
But then I met this whole culture of fundraising. I went to seminars and conferences with all these fundraising people, and I started to hear all the tricks of the trade, and I started actually becoming sick to my stomach with, in the Christian space, in some ways, the sales game that gets played. And the people felt like they should lead with real sales ROI type tactics, and all the CRMs out there helps you push ROI.
Right.
And I would ask people, do you know donors? I actually sat down with a church earlier this year that wanted me to help them with their missions framework. And after we did the missions framework, they brought me their list of supported entities or missionaries they support. And I said, this is great. Let's see if this aligns with your DNA and what you want to accomplish at the church. And a lot of it did not. And then they said to me, well, would you help us figure out our list? I said, okay, this guy right at the top of the list, how did you guys get to give to them? And they're like, oh, we really wanted to support some child work, so we just Googled somebody who works with children, and this was the first guy who popped up, so we started sending him money. And I'm like, okay, so pause. Have you ever met this organization? No. Do you know anybody at the organization? No. Has the organization ever come to your church and done anything here? No. But you're sending them a couple $1,000s a month? I said, dude, you need to cut that like now. I said, I can introduce you to people who do the same thing.
That are not terrorists or human traffickers.
And I'm not saying this organization's doing anything
but you don't
bad
know.
or wrong.
You just don't know.
But you have no relationship with
Well, you're
it.
describing what is truly transactional.
Absolutely.
It's all transactional, not relational, not transformational.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to get on the other side of this, but the implications are wide of believing that the kingdom is relationally driven. I believe in scale.
Yeah.
We have to scale things.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's not pretend we don't live in a westernized culture, and we have to, we have to get out there with people. We have to do things that put us in the center of commerce and entertainment and media. It's very hard to do sometimes, but we got to do it and not lose our soul.
That's right.
Or lose the Jesus way of treating people with the respect that God can do something in them. I mean, how many stories in the Bible are of people who shouldn't have ever been the ones chosen?
Yeah.
We could choose Moses. We could look at Abraham, a liar. He didn't love his wife very much. He had major issues. You look at all the David and Goliath is a classic story that everybody knows, even people who don't know Jesus, because David shouldn't have beat Goliath. If we stop believing in this kind of investment in people that have never proven anything yet, we will stop seeing miracles.
That's right.
And awesome stories, because Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, all these people, it's the same. Nobody thought they could do it in their garage, so nobody invested in them. Once everybody sees it, what drives that? I got to get more money. God has enough money.
Come on.
God has enough money.
Come on.
Money's not his problem. It's not his problem.
People.
Money's our problem.
Obedience.
Money's our problem. And if we get the money in front of the people, I think we always go wrong. That's why every few months, some mega church pastor crashes and burns, because he got the sequence out of order.
Yep.
That's why missionaries get discouraged and go off the field, and they can blame it on money, but they might have gotten money.
Got the sequence wrong.
They got the sequence wrong.
Yeah.
And so seek first the kingdom and his righteousness. And we got to do that as pastors. And we do that with missionaries. I think that means going to visit them. I think that means making sure there's relationship. And if you can't support them, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Hey, we are full up. We had a bad year last year. How many churches had a bad year in the last 4 years? There's a lot of them. from COVID and recovering and all that stuff. That's just part of the normal thing, but say it. Say it honestly. Hey, yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want to do that. Why? Because of pride. Because of I don't want to admit that this is all garbage.
Well, here's one of the things I used to tell missionaries that come to me now. Our budget's exhausted. We have no more money to give. I mean, we're just done. But there's still a lot of people asking, and we want to help. And so I've challenged some missionaries before that come and say, man, I'm so upset. This is my church and you guys aren't supporting me. And I said, hold on, we are supporting you. They're like, well, what do you mean? I said, listen, let me ask you a question. Is anybody within our church membership supporting you? Be like, yeah. I said,
Yeah, sure.
If you don't mind, can I ask you how many? Like 30 people? I said, where did you meet those 30 people?
Exactly.
They're like, you're a church?
Ouch.
I said, so the church provided a platform for you.
Yeah.
We didn't withhold you.
Yeah.
We gave you our equity, our advocacy to go talk to people that consider this church because you're in relationship with us.
Yep.
So as a pastor, I gave you my influence with people because I knew I couldn't give you money anymore, but I could give you advocacy and influence. And that advocacy and influence translated into real dollars.
Yeah.
So just because I can't write you a check with one chapel on the top, if I produce an environment and allowed you to come into this family, and several people who call One Chapel home ended up supporting you, One Chapel supporting you.
Yep.
Yeah. Trust only happens with relationship.
Absolutely.
And if the people in the church don't trust the pastor, they don't give. And if the pastor can't trust the missionary, he won't. It's like there's a lot of trust that has to go on here. I think that's how Jesus did it. He trusted Peter.
Yeah.
And then Peter failed.
And he still trusted Peter.
And then he brought him back.
He did.
And trusted him again.
Yeah.
I just think this is the Jesus way. The prodigal
stayed
son.
engaged.
He stayed engaged. The prodigal son story is about Gentiles and Jewish people, and it's a big story about God and what he's doing. But I think it's so descriptive of the Father and his attitude towards us. And I have this saying at One Chapel, it's pastors are people too.
Come on.
Pastors are people too. They got hangups, they got issues, and we got to work on them. And the way you work on them is you get in relationship with somebody else who's helping you walk through it. And if you become isolated, just like missionaries, if they become isolated, if pastors and missionaries become isolated, they fall, they fail, they get pummeled. So how do we do this? We get in relationship with each other.
Absolutely.
And we get in partnership. That's what the kingdom of God is. It's not corporate entities. It's relational capital that counts. And then God provides the money that's needed.
Yeah, and I would say to the missionary on the field who's like, well, okay, I'm in Africa. How do I stay in a relationship with a pastor?
Well, there's this newfangled thing called the internet. I don't know. It's like you can talk to somebody on the other side of the world, like instantaneously. We have Zoom calls with all of our missionaries on a monthly basis.
And I think also the other thing, honestly, for me is pray for the pastor.
Can I talk about this point?
Yeah.
This is massive.
Yeah.
This is a major basic framework for how most people are, and it's exploited by the enemy to dismantle people's lives. Because most of the time, if we claim to have a relationship, but you don't ever reach out and check on me, what am I likely to think? Like the quality of a relationship, any relationship, is usually directly correlated with investment and the effort that goes into it. And if it's only one-sided, then it's frustrating. And imagine how God feels. Who's applying the massive effort with, relatively speaking, not much reciprocation? Us or God?
Yeah.
Right? So he stays in the game. And for a missionary, like I try to get across to all of the ones that we're responsible for conveying this to. Now, don't hear in me saying this, I'm not addressing the other side. I'm addressing the missionaries' extreme responsibility for their own health.
Yeah.
Because you just said, like, the question is the complexity of, okay, great. You said, the missionary says, I'm way over here on the other side of the world. How do I do the relationship? Right? Because there's all these common things. And there's hurtful things in the common things. And one of the common things is the first year, everybody back home remembers. And I get into the second year and care packages stop, and it's out of sight, out of mind. And it's not because those people back home genuinely don't care. It's just there's a growing differential. You're right. The internet makes this dynamic. There's some things about it that are negative in missiology. There's some really great things about it. And free communication is one of the amazing things. Okay. But I do have moral authority to speak here because I invested dollars into the pursuit of relationship. And I could have easily said, I'm the one that's on the backside of nowhere and it's hard. I'm the one that's challenged. But what am I going to do? Am I going to say, nobody likes me, everybody hates me, I think I'll go eat worms because they're not checking on me? I'm the one that's on the front line and get all but hurt and fall to the schemes of the devil because anatomically I have proof that is not demonstrating to me that so-and-so cares. If I measure the transactions of how much are they calling, how much are they coming, how much, or am I going to look at Jesus? The greatest safety net is to take responsibility for your own care and not levy the demand for someone to unilaterally have to demonstrate. For a missionary, this is critical. If you want to make sure that you're taking care of people, like you know our story.
Yes.
You know some of our story. We've been through some hard things, but I don't hate the church, and I don't hate people, and I certainly don't hate God. How did we maintain emotional health? There's one way. Focusing on Jesus, and practically, I didn't sit in the dark going, I wish somebody would call. I'm really having a hard time. I said, okay, fine. I might gripe, and I might say, I don't think they're praying. They're not, if they are, they're not listening to God, but I don't care. I really need to talk to Ross. Why did I come to your office? Why did I make the phone calls? Why did I initiate the thing that I needed? I didn't sit there and go, I wish somebody would call. This equals nobody cares. So it means it's not genuine if I have to ask. Well, the end result of that is I'm just going to spiral into bitterness. And who loses if I spiral into bitterness, regardless of what transaction is broken?
Correct.
Right? The people I'm sent to lose, I lose myself, my marriage loses, my family loses. I'm not going to pay the price. Right? So I have to take responsibility and say, I may care. It would feel better if somebody would call and check on me and come see me every now and then. If I want people to come see me, I'm going to invite them. If I know I need to have a conversation, I need to pick up the phone. I need to write the letter. I'm just talking to missionaries. It would be like this, the scenario that I often give, and I'm not saying this is okay. What I am saying is if we want the bottom line insurance policy that we're not going to spiral into bitterness, works 100% of the time. This is a foolproof plan to make sure that I'm going to become better and not bitter.
Yeah, and
Okay, so wait, let me give my example. You got a husband and a wife. And it's that whole thing of language of love. Let's say my wife likes flowers. She does, and I need to do better on this, but let's say she likes flowers and I don't think about it. And to her, it may be, and it may feel like it's not genuine if she has to ask me to get her flowers. And I'm thinking about it now, like she's sitting right over there and I'm going, I need to get with the program and put flowers on auto ship. However, from a missionary care standpoint, the thing that's foolproof is that you don't say, it's meaningless if they don't think of it themselves. I'm just going to go ahead and ask when I want flowers. I'm going to go ahead and reach out and say, I need to talk to you because I'm having a low minute moment because life is busy. And if we will do that, that has been for me the one practical step that's destroyed so many schemes of the devil. And so to me, when I'm dealing with a missionary, that's my answer to the question you just asked. How do we cultivate relationships? Mm-hmm. Even though, like, I've had my gripes with churches who levy on me that I have to report to them for their justification to continue to give. I'm like, I don't even have a telephone. Like there was no such thing as an internet. 30% of the letters disappeared. Mm-hmm. So we had to wait on a missionary to drive our letters to the United States and then bring them back. All the things. Okay, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. I'll take it. It doesn't matter what should be. What can advance the bottom line? Mm-hmm. Nothing's helpful if I'm going to be bitter. Well, how can I ensure that I'm not bitter? Because we always say this, there's no such thing as the devil made me do it. What does that mean? That means I'm going to stand alone before God. And God is not going to say, you're right, they were scumbags and they didn't check on you. Yeah, but why did you still get bitter?
Can I just talk
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because there's a relational dynamic here. Yeah. In the spirit of real talk, we are friends because he picked up the phone.
Yeah.
I end up being in seasons and cycles where I'm not good at that. It's part of my dynamic as a human. And one thing about relationship is if we really start to be in relationship, he starts to see my cracks.
Yeah.
My things that
and vice versa.
And that I'm not as communicative as I should be during certain seasons and cycles in my life. And we know this. I've been guilty of it. It probably has to do with
and I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about everybody in our relationship.
But I love it as an example, as like you initiated, and then you taught me how to be better. And I still don't call as often as I probably should. But pastors, they go through their own seasons and cycles, and so do missionaries. So we got to get over this thing with like. I love what you're saying about missionaries. This is your responsibility.
We got to own it.
You got to own it, and I got to own it, and I'm willing to own it. And we have a good enough relationship that I can own it, even sitting here and say, this is the thing that challenged the devil's schemes in his life. He made sure. And the result is also that the devil was defeated in my life because he said, I'm going to call. Yeah, I'm just going to call.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, both of you are beneficiaries of the process I'm about to talk about. Mm. But when we started with this, and I have a relationship with both of you for a long time, but we've not necessarily been on the phone every day and staying in touch. Yeah. But I started asking the Lord, God, who do you want us to journey with? And as God gave me a name of a person, I put that person on my prayer list. And every Monday morning and Tuesday morning, I go in my prayer closet and I start praying for that person. And I send a text like, hey, I'm just praying for you today. This is what I feel God is saying. And you guys get it every week. Yep. And I didn't necessarily not at all. I didn't do that with a motivation like, I'm hoping to get some transactional out of this. I think what God did with me is, and I want to say this to every missionary, he oriented my heart
Come on.
first.
Amen.
That regardless of you ever responding to my text or you or whatever, it's not about your response. It's about my heart's position towards you as someone I love, and you as someone I love, and you as people I care about. And I think there's a spiritual dynamic here too, outside of the practicals we talked about, where if you pray enough for people, God quickens their hearts and minds
No doubt
towards
about
you.
that.
And so don't complain about a pastor not reaching out to you if you never pray for him.
That's right.
Start praying for that pastor every day.
Good.
And God will start quickening that pastor's
Straight up.
memory of you.
It-
Involve
which-
the Holy Spirit in this process.
Which is proactive and taking responsibility for action and pursuit.
And it does what you said, Britt. Bitterness cannot live in that environment.
Can't do it.
When you pray for someone and you pray that God, I haven't heard from them in a long time, but God, I pray that you help Pastor Ross with his church. I pray, God, that whatever he's going through, Lord, that you will be there for him today. I don't know if he's having a good day, a down day, but God, I pray that you show up. Bless Amy. Bless the kids. Bless the church. Give him the staff that he needs. And I mean, when you start praying like that, now I feel good about Ross. I just moved from, why didn't Ross call me? He doesn't care about me. And prayer changes everything.
Come on.
It reorients our heart. It positions us. We get excited because now I care more about Ross than I need him to care about me.
There you go.
Right? So you have to take personal responsibility.
Yep.
And one of the ways you can do that is go to your prayer closet, lay it before the Lord, and pray for people.
Great episode.
Is that a stop?
That is amazing. This is so critical and amazing because this pushes back at the great me monster self-focus.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's what none of us are saying that the things that are frustrating or shouldn't be. We're not saying that we don't need to grow and improve. Yes. I remember 2006.
Yeah.
You called me and you said, "How long have we known each other?" And you've been calling and you've been initiating, and it's time for me to initiate, and I'm coming to see you. Well, and it's not like you had like nothing to do. You were in this massive conundrum, wrestling with an excruciatingly difficult assignment. You didn't have time.
Yeah.
You know, but you recognized, realized, and said, okay, it's like I got to step up. You went through a transition, and I'm not saying what I'm saying because it's a gripe. I'm saying what I'm saying because it's catalytic and it's transformational in yourself and in others.
And it's a reality.
It's a reality.
You are not going to be thought of from time to time.
Exactly.
And I had a phone call.
And it has
this
to be
morning.
okay.
I had a phone call this morning from a guy I haven't heard from in a while. He said, "Yeah, I left your church." Okay, so, okay, yeah, thanks for calling. That's nice. But this
And
is
you
just,
didn't check on me.
This is
You didn't even notice.
This is just a fact of life.
Yep.
And so I love this. I want to say one thing that I've been thinking about a lot.
Totally.
And it just came up in sort of my thought process here. But, the connection between the Great Commandment and the Great Commission is massive. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then Jesus' commission to us. And they are related so deeply. And I feel that the corporate approach, the transactional approach, always allows for it to be
That's a great perspective.
separated.
That's
They
awesome.
That's a great
separate.
perspective.
Because if you just love God and love people well, but you never tell them about Jesus, you're missing half of the equation.
Yep.
And there's a lot of Christians that that's kind of That's kind of their missionary mindset. I'm just going to love people. And
Lifestyle evangelism.
It's. I believe in lifestyle evangelism, but
So
at
do
some
I.
point you got to get to talk about Jesus.
That's right.
And then if you talk about Jesus, but you don't love them really well,
Ooh, that stinks.
it's very common.
Yeah, it's very common.
So those two things have to be integrated.
Absolutely.
But it happens on a macro level too. The church and the missions agencies, and we just need more a connection between these two things, and that requires relationship. And we're just getting farther and farther away from the Jesus way of sending people.
Yeah.
And relationships are messy. I mean, at the end of the day,
I'm imperfect. I got
Right, I mean,
problems. I
You
got
wrote the
hangups.
book, Messy Church.
I did write that book. That was a good book.
That was a good book.
The relationship that we have, you know my weaknesses, and you love me anyway.
And the same with
And
you.
everybody has to have those people. You can't have all the people.
No, you
in
can't.
that
You
kind of
shouldn't.
relationship. You can't. It's not healthy.
No,
But you
right.
have to have some people. And then when you have some people, you'll get strong enough, healthy enough. You'll be mature enough because God is working in you, because that's how community works. And then when people don't accept you, or they do reject you, or they do forget about you, you'll be okay because you already have it.
Yep.
You're not relying on people that you hope will do that for you. You've already established it.
so I believe missions is God's gift to the church to be messy.
Come on.
It's this perfect environment for
You're
you.
so right.
It's this perfect environment for you to say, we can mess up. Just be messy. Missions is messy, man.
People are
It's
messy.
unpredictable. It is the most, and the
Yes.
more perfect churches get, sometimes the
it's
the more
the less
transactional their
authentic
missions
they
is,
get, yeah.
the more they gravitate to supporting organizations rather than people
And projects.
and projects. And I think it's great to support organizations and projects. I'm not
Yes,
dissing
have
those
to have
things.
all
Those
that.
are all good.
But those things should be a subset of a relational connection.
That's right.
Because I have projects, right? I have an organization, but I'm in a relationship.
We all do if we're
Yes,
doing
we all
it.
have organizations.
You know?
This has become very internalized in our church because we decided about 5 years in that we were going to reproduce differently. Instead of growing bigger, we were going to send a new church plant or a new campus. And we treat it like a church plant. Church plants are messy.
Yeah.
It's not tidy. It's not neat. It's not clean. But what happens when you decide you're going to reproduce that, even when you get all your stuff together, but you're going to now reproduce another messy situation, it keeps the original church messy.
Yeah.
It keeps the original church scrappy, missionary minded. You get new ideas because you just sent some people to another part of the city to reach them, and now you learn new strategies because you decided to do that. And I think this kind of mindset has to saturate all of our entities, that we're willing to reproduce. That's what the Great Commission is. That's what Jesus intended. And so we're reproducing. In what way are you reproducing? Are you reproducing transactionally, or are you actually reproducing authentically and relationally? And if it is those things, you're messy.
Yeah.
You're messy. But I believe messy is God's intention.
I think your next book is Scrappy Church.
Scrappy church, love it.
Messy church to scrappy church.
I'm for
I
it.
love
Well,
it.
internally, no matter how good your systems are, it's still some mess in there.
But we're just hiding it.
We're hiding it.
It's the same thing we do in relationships. I don't want you to know me too close because
right.
you'll see all the mess ups. The church is messy. We ought to admit it, and then we ought to let people in their mess work through it together.
Yeah.
That's what discipleship is. Oh, that's what missionary work is.
Yeah, there's 1,000 ways to go with
Yeah.
this, but we probably better wind this down.
Well, thank you,
My pleasure.
brothers.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's do this.
We have fun talking.
We do.
Outside of this.
We do.
And so it's fun to just do it in this venue.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank
inviting
you for
me.
coming.
I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for joining us. If you want to send us any questions, comments, please go to Gateway to Mercy at mountaingateway.com.
.org.
You can tell we're really polished at this. We're still figuring it out.
We
But
all
I
got-
do know this, though. If you need a good church in Austin, go to onechapel.com. It's
very
I got
messy.
that one figured out. It's a basic church. It's an awesome church. It's a scrappy church. Get into it. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining the Gateway to Mercy podcast today. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell as many people as you can about us. And if you have any questions, any thoughts that you want to share, email us at gatewaytomercy@mountaingateway.org. Have a good day.